In this video, we want to look at how we would put this information into the graphing calculator. The apps for the phone work similar. There are a few different variations, just depends on whether you have an Android version or an iPhone version. But they all work very, very similar to if you have a graphing calculator. All of them will have a stat key. And there are some instructions right here in terms of what the process is to use a graphing calculator and what you should write down for each required element, regardless of whether it's needed or not. So let's just look at this piece. We did these by hand, but let's see how we can do this using a graphing calculator. And so the first step is to hit the stat key. And then the first option is edit. And so we're going to go ahead and just hit enter, or we can hit the number 1, whichever way you want to do that. And then we'll notice that there is a blank column here. And we want to make sure that it always says L1 here. So if it doesn't say L1 in your stat options where it says setup editor, so if for instance my L1 was gone, so let me, and the way that it disappears is if you hit, in this case, the delete key, notice that my L1 is gone. Well, it's actually just hidden, it's not gone. And so we just have to be careful with that. So I'm going to go to Stat. I'm going to hit number 5 to set up my editor. So 5, and then I just hit Enter because it's asking, do you want to do this? And I say yes by hitting the Enter key. Now when I go to Stat and hit number 1 or Edit, my L1 is back. So you just want to make sure that L1 is always there, and then you can type in the information. Now, if you notice there that I hit the delete key and it made the data go, or that column go away. So let's suppose I have these numbers in here and I wanted to start a new set of data. I'm going to, rather than hitting delete, I actually want to hit the clear button and then the enter button, and then it'll clear it out. It doesn't delete the column. Okay, and again, for the phone apps, it's a little bit different. So you just have to read what it says on the bottom. For the actual graphing calculator, you want to make sure you hit clear and you do not hit delete. So again, I'm going to put the numbers in. And they don't have to be in order. I'm just writing these 4, 4, 5, 6, 9, 11, but I could have written typed in 4, 6, 9, 11, 4, and 5. I do not have to write these in order. And when you have a long list, you're definitely not going to want to put them in order before you work with a large data set. So since we had already put them in order, I'm going to go ahead and just type them in order. Okay, so now that they're in the calculator, I'm going to hit Stat again. And at the top, this was the edit function. I want to go to Calculate because I want the calculator to do some calculations for me. So I'm going to hit the right arrow key. So now I'm in the Calculate function. And I have a whole bunch of choices. We're always going to use this one var stat. So that's one variable stats. And so that's the first selection. So I hit Enter. And my information is coming from L1, that's where we typed it in, and I'm just going to hit the Enter key until I get to Calculate, and then I hit Enter one more time to make sure I calculate. Now you'll notice here that X bar says 6.5, which is our mean, okay, over that we hand calculated. I'll also see that there's a down arrow right here, so that means there's more information on the bottom, so I can scroll down here. And I see MED, which is 5.5. That's the shortcut for median, which is 5.5. And the mode, unfortunately, cannot be found on the calculator. So we just can look at the data set and figure out which is the most common value or common values if there's more than one. Okay. So in our notes here, it says that we want to make sure that we write down all the information needed when we do this calculation so that we don't have to go back and recalculate every single time. So I'm looking at this and I have 6.5, so I'm just going to write this in this box. I'm not necessarily going to use this again, but just to show you. So we want the mean, which is 6.5. We want the sample standard deviation, and notice that's the MyMathLab answer. I'll explain what this is, but that's the answer MyMathLab is looking for. It's this capital S with an X, and you'll see that's the 1, 2, 3, fourth one down here. And again, we round to 2 decimal places, so this is 2.88. And then the next one is the population standard deviation. This is the one we're going to use when we're working with the normal curve. And that that's sigma and x, so that's the one right below it. So 2 point, notice those numbers will be very close, so you want to make sure you write the correct answer down. 2.63. And then we also want what we call the 5-number summary, which is the minimum value. So the minimum value is 4. We need Q1, which is quartile number 1, is also 4. And then again, that little arrow is saying there's more information below. And so I just scroll down the down arrow keys. The median we said was 5.5. Quartile 3 is 9. And the maximum is 11. All right, so that is the information that you're going to need in every single problem. Just depends on what the questions are asking. So we want to make sure that we write these all down initially, because the next thing I'm going to do is go second quit or second mode, and now I've lost all that information. So therefore I would have to do the whole calculation again, and so it's best just to write them down right away, and then we can use them later on.